We're now in our PLAB VC01 box, our vSphere server. Let's go ahead and log into the vSphere client. Let's get started on managing our DV port groups. So from home, we're going to go to inventory, then to networking. Once we get to networking, we're going to expand PLAB VC on the left pane here. As you can see, we don't have the DV port group yet. We will click on data centers, right mouse click on London, select new vSphere distributed switch. We're gonna keep the default down here, and we'll keep the defaults here as well, and just next through it we'll select the first NIC to use with this DV port switch and click finish. So now our DV port switch is created. Next, right mouse click DV switch and select new port group, and we're going to call this one just PLAB DV port group. So the reason the original group had the number 2 there was to avoid duplicates when creating these DV port groups. We're going to keep the default number of ports to 8. And on the VLAN tab on the drop down, this shows the available connections that we can use. We could go ahead and click next and finish. And there's our PLAB DV port group. To configure our new port group, we will right mouse click it and select Edit Settings. In the right pane, let's click on Policies, where we can configure a great deal of different settings here. Let's click on Security here, and we see the security settings. Next, let's click on Advanced, where we have more advanced settings such as allow override of port policies, configure reset at disconnect, and here we could edit the override policies. For now, we're just going to leave everything at their defaults and click OK. We could also remove the DV port group, so back to the left pane, if we right mouse click PLAB DV port group and select Delete, and yes, it's gone. Right now we're on our domain controller, PLAB DMO1. We're going to be doing all of the work on PLAB VC01. Let's get connected to it. Minimize Server Manager. Connect to the client. Navigate to Inventory, then Hosts and Clusters. PLAB SX01 is selected by default. On the right pane here, let's click on Configuration. In the Hardware section, click on Networking. To view the switch, we're going to click on vSphere Distributed Switch here at the top right of the pane. Well, I think the switch was deleted from a prior lab, so I'll go ahead and create a new one. So we're back on Home, Inventory, Networking, Data Centers, right mouse click on London, New vSphere Distributed Switch. We'll keep this default. We'll change the name on this one to a -2. It either didn't take the hyphen or my keyboard is stuck. Okay, keyboard was stuck. Next. And we'll select the nick that we want it on. In this case, it's going to be the first nick. Next. And finish. Now we'll go back to home, inventory, hosts and clusters. And this is pretty cool because it brings me right back to where I left off on the vSphere distributed switch. As you can see, we can now see our switch that I named DV switch -2. Let's go ahead and scroll right so that we could see our physical adapters. Let's go ahead and click on Manage Physical Adapters. Now on the right pane, click to add NIC under DV uplink 2. So right here on the left pane, we have 2 unclaimed adapters. So we're going to select VMNIC 3 to add. This is showing a few details for VMNIC 3. We'll go ahead and click OK. Notice that the VMNIC 3 is now added to our DV uplink 2. So from within this same box, we could actually remove NICs as well. So the VMNIC 3 that we just put in, I could just go ahead and click remove, confirm it, and it's gone. Notice that VMNIC 3 is gone from the physical adapters page here. I'll click OK to get out of this. So we're in host and clusters. PLAB ESX01 is selected. We're on the configuration tab. Now, if you're not already scrolled over to the right, you can go ahead and do that. Then click on Manage Virtual Adapters. Next, click on Add. We'll keep the default new virtual adapter selected, then click Next. Keep the default here, VM kernel, then click Next. On the connection setting on the drop-down, let's select DV port group, then click Next. Actually, let's select Use Virtual Adapter for vMotion, for fault tolerance logging, and for management traffic. Then we could click Next. Let's confirm. We're going to go with automatic IP addressing here. Next. And finish. So here we see our new virtual adapter, VMK1, is added to the system. We can also edit the settings by clicking on Edit. I'm going to go ahead and deselect some of these options. The only one I'm keeping is use this adapter for fault tolerance logging. And I'll go ahead and click OK. Alright, notice that vMotion is now listed as disabled. There's a little lag here, so I have to close out, then open it back up to get the most accurate results. So vMotion is disabled, fault tolerance logging is enabled, managed traffic is disabled, iSCSI port bindings is disabled. We can also migrate a virtual adapter. So if we select VMK1, then click on Migrate, we'll keep the destination switch as vSwitch0, then click Next. We'll label this one as PLAB VM kernel. Click Next and finish. Notice that VMK1 no longer appears on the Manage Virtual Adapters dialog box. This shows that we've successfully migrated it. We can go ahead and close out of this. Let's go ahead and access our standard switch by clicking on vSphere standard switch. Now on our standard switch, notice that PLAB VM kernel is listed here as one of our VM kernel ports. Let's go ahead and click on Home. From the home page of the vSphere client, inside of Inventory, click on Networking. Expand PLAB vco1.practicelabs.com. Right mouse click on DV port group. Choose Edit Settings. In the left pane, let's select Security under Policies. Let's select Promiscuous Mode, and on the drop down we're going to accept transmissions in promiscuous mode. We'll go ahead and click OK. Alright, we're still in our networking page. We have the domain tree expanded. Right mouse click on DV port group. Select Edit Settings. Select Miscellaneous on the left pane. On the right side, under Miscellaneous, block all ports. Hit the drop down. Select Yes and click OK.